Hi everybody, Michelle McClunan here, astrologer and life coach, and I'm bringing you another astrology update as we close in on the end of the year, almost. And this one is about the solar eclipse on the 4th of December, and it's happening at about 9:41 in South Africa. You can actually look up where you are in the world. A solar eclipse is a new moon, and we're fully into eclipse season now. This one is basically a solar eclipse is when the moon blocks the light of the sun. So if you look at the moon as the feminine and the sun as the masculine, very literally, then the feminine is kind of vanquishing the masculine at this time. So that gives us a little bit of a clue as to what it is. It's also what we call a south node eclipse, which means that it's connected with the south node, and it sets the scene for 6 months. It's a time to plant new seeds for the 6 months from now. Aligned with the south node, it's connected with the past, karma, consequences. And this is what I think is going to play out in the next 6 months. The consequences of what's been happening, what we've been doing as a collective, that we're all kind of responsible, we're all part of the collective, and where have we played a role in setting what we found ourselves to be in up. So these are kind of the consequences of what's been sown in the past. Now, if you look at the solar eclipse chart for this solar eclipse, first of all, it's in the sign of Sagittarius. And so we have the sun, the moon, and a planet called Mercury, all in the sign of Sagittarius. Mercury being the mind, how we communicate the information that we receive, how we speak, whether we're speaking our truth, where we get our information from. That's all aligned with Mercury. It's the planet of communication. The sun and the moon obviously are the luminaries, so it lights up whatever that is. So all of them being in Sagittarius, if we just address Sagittarius to start with. Sagittarius is what we call a mutable fire sign. It's the sign of the seeker, of truth, of greater understanding. It's a sign that's related to higher knowing, intuition, belief systems, wisdom. So it's a sign that is, if we tune into the energy of this time, we're able to actually look at things from a higher perspective, from a broader perspective. We're able to tune into our inner guidance, our intuition, and actually filter through the misinformation so that we can actually find the truth. That's what Sagittarius is about. Now, lined up with that, it's quite a lot of astrology, but bear with me. You've got the 3 planets all in Sagittarius. In a square to that, we have the planet Neptune. Now, Neptune is kind of a nebulous energy. It's not clear. It's a little bit cloudy. It's a bit foggy. So what that does, especially in the quite close connection square to Mercury, is it creates confusion. It creates misinformation. It creates fogginess of, if you look at Mercury as let's make a decision, let's talk, let's speak, let's find the truth, well, that's muddied. The truth is muddied. There's no clear direction, certainly not coming from outside sources. So, you read one thing, you listen to one thing, and then there's a complete opposite the next moment. So what this is actually telling us is to really look at the information that's coming at us and to really check in with our inner knowing. I've spoken about it a lot over the last year, but really this is starting to come to a head, and I'm going to try and explain why. So if we believe the authority on the outside, whether that's the media, whether it's somebody telling us what we should do, whether it's our old conditioning, our old belief systems, our old family belief systems, what we've always done as a family, what we've always done as a country, what you should be doing, what we should be doing together. If we've always believed that, this is the time where we need to really question those belief systems and allow them to collapse if necessary. And that's quite scary because very often our reality is built on our belief systems. And beliefs come and beliefs go. They don't necessarily they're not necessarily true. So I would say the focus of this eclipse is to actually say, okay, what is true? What is true for me? Regardless of what I'm being told, regardless of what I'm hearing, seeing, or anything else, what is true for me? So that's the first one. And being prepared to let go of beliefs that are not true. Be prepared to look at the bigger picture. Being prepared to look at even the shadow, standing in the shadow and looking and saying, okay, what is actually going on here? Okay. The other thing that's happening, and this is quite big, and I'm going to try and explain it, is at the new moon, we have Venus very close to the planet Pluto. And we've spoken a lot about Pluto over the last 2 years because it's been very much about what we've seen in our planet. Pluto being in the sign of Capricorn, and Pluto in Capricorn basically connects with states of control, man-made systems and laws, social expectations, top-down governments telling us what to do, telling how we should think, controlling our thoughts, our belief systems, our education systems, our economies, our everything. So that is what the energy of Pluto in Capricorn is. Okay. Right now, as we approach this eclipse, we've got Venus in Capricorn going towards what we call a conjunction, which means they're moving towards each other. And that's going to be happening over the next 4 months or so. That is basically transformation of the way we look at our structures. Venus is also concerned with the economy and money. So it's transformation of our economy, of the monetary systems, of the government systems. And it's also about this that's happening, that's revealing itself, is leading us to a place where we're actually saying, well, does the old order actually work? And it's pretty clear that it doesn't work. And that's what's collapsing. And that's what we've been talking about for 2 years. And that's what we've been seeing over the last roundabout 2 years, is the collapse of the old because those systems don't work anymore. And that is a reflection of all of us. We've all been part of creating that old system. So it's not a victim thing. We've all been part of it. And now how can we actually stand in our maturity, build our responsibility in creating something new? So if we look at that a little bit further, just to give you some dates and that kind of thing, if you look at the chart of America, for example, and what tends to happen in our world is when something happens in America, it kind of rolls out. I'm not political, and I'm not what we call a political astrologer. However, in 2001, when we had the 9/11, America has a chart which was formed in 1776, which was when the Declaration was all put together and the Constitution was put together, which was a really strong Constitution with all the amendments and all of that. That was put together on the 4th of July, 1776. At the time of that Constitution, which then forms the chart of America, Pluto was at 27 degrees of Capricorn. It basically does a full circuit over the last 245 years or so, and is coming back to that place that it was when it was written in February next year. At the same time, we're going to have Venus and we're going to have Mars joining those two. So it seems to me, and it's, the astrologer is much more qualified to discuss this than I am because they've been specialized in this kind of thing. But basically, we're in the phases of the dissolution, almost the way I see it, of that initial structure, which is basically being eroded over years and years and years. And I mean, at this stage, just about all the amendments have been broken. I mean, the First Amendment is freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of press. That's gone, okay? The Second Amendment, which is the right to carry arms, is still there, but a lot of those amendments have gone. They've disappeared. So there's a crumbling of that old, and we're in the death throes of that, and there's going to be something happening early next year, I see, which is starting to bring out the new. Pluto only moves out of Capricorn in 2024. So this is quite a long process that we're in. It then moves into Aquarius, which is then hopefully something new that's arising. So what I want to also look at is just the social expectations and that we have to conform, and to be cognizant of where we're conforming just because it's the right thing to do or because other people are doing it. And I'm going to put a link in the description below this of an experiment that was done called the Ash experiment, which was all about that. And it was done in many different forms over many, many different years. And it was basically the tendency for us to conform to what other people are doing because it feels more comfortable, because it feels very uncomfortable to stand outside and say, no, but I don't agree with that. So I just see this as a time to really get clear on whether you're conforming or whether any of us are conforming to something else because it's the right thing to do, because everyone else is doing it, because the group is doing it, the herd is doing it. And what I see is that, we're entering into this age of Aquarius, where we realize that we are all connected, absolutely. We are all one, actually, but we also have an individual role to play on the earth. As every plant is diverse, there's diversity is what builds strength. Diversity builds immune systems. It makes us stronger. So isolation doesn't do that. Unity does that. Standing together does that. Acknowledging our diversity, acknowledging our differences, and creating new from that, creating strength from that. That creates the new, not isolating and dividing, which is what the powers, if you want to call them that, are trying to do. They're trying to divide us and say, you're there, you're awful, you're right. That's what's happening. It's so plain to see. It's so plain to see the atrocities that are actually being perpetuated across the planet. I mean, people being put into camps is just, it's going back to Nazi Germany. So some of us don't want to see that, but I believe that it's time to see that, just to look at it. No matter where you stand on the spectrum of what your decision is, how you want to move forward, we have to acknowledge what's going on our planet. And it's division and breakdown, which is happening in a way so that we can actually build something new. But we need to see it. We need to see the truth. And it's almost that this is a war. It's a somewhat invisible war because there are no bombs dropping right now. But it's a war because it's division and people are being locked up. People's freedoms are being taken away all over the world, particularly in certain countries. People are being denied the right to work. People are being denied the right to buy food. That's quite serious. And it's not something we want to look at, I know, but Pluto is the shadow. We need to look at the shadow. We need to look at what we would do if we were in a state of war. What would we do? How would we stand? Would we stand together or would we be dividing ourselves? So these are all slightly heavy subjects, but I think they're necessary to talk about, and that's what's coming through. The opposite of Pluto in Capricorn, the opposite of Capricorn and this control and this division is Cancer. That's the opposite sign of Capricorn. And Cancer is about coming home. Cancer is about feeling. It's about connecting. It's about having compassion. It's about feeling somebody's pain, not ignoring that, the Aborigine people are being taken out of their homes. It's about saying, oh my goodness, this is actually happening. how can we stand together to heal this? How can we come home? Where is home? And our true home is here, right now, inside. Our true home is being able to feel the feelings that we feel, acknowledge the feelings that we feel, come home to this moment, which is where we actually have power to make change, not to isolate ourselves, not to numb ourselves, but to actually come home to kind of oneness, and very much to come home to what is true. And the only way we really know that, the only way we really connect with our intuitive knowing is in this moment, where the thoughts and the information and everything we've been told and everything that's coming through recede, so that we can breathe and we can just connect and say, what is true for me now? What is true for me now? What am I feeling? What am I feeling? Not what am I thinking? Thinking will go there and there, all over the place. What am I feeling? Is this right? Is this just? Is this fair? Is this how humans treat each other? How do humans want to treat each other? What kind of world do we want to build? Sagittarius energy is the vision of a new world, a new earth. I don't like saying new world, new earth. A new earth. What is a new earth? We stand together, we create together, we create new communities, we create new ways of doing things, new ways of earning money, new ways of living, growing our own food maybe, getting our own power maybe, definitely having our own sense of water. That's Cancer. Where's your water? How's your water? How's your emotional state? And where's your water? Where's your water coming from? So that's what I have to say about this eclipse. It's going to move us into the middle of December, when things get quite intense, because we've got the last square between Saturn and Uranus, which I've been speaking about all year, which is about control versus freedom, and the power structures versus individual freedom. So that's coming to a head sort of just before Christmas, and it'll line up with the exact conjunction of Venus and Pluto in Capricorn. So we can see this from a pessimistic point. We can see this as a defeatist thing, like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? We're all going to collapse. Or we can see this as exactly what's happening is what's supposed to be happening. We stand together, we stand in our sovereignty, we stand in our strength, our inner strength, we support each other, we unify. That's where our strength is. And we know that we actually get through this, that there's light at the end of the tunnel, the new beats the old, always. Might take a while, but we've got to be resilient and stand in your truth. If you've got a choice to make, ask yourself, is this a choice made out of love or fear? Am I choosing this out of love, or am I choosing this out of fear? And if it's out of fear, then reassess that decision and return to love. What feels right for me? So I hope that helps you to navigate, keep navigating, keep standing firm, keep connecting. If you need to connect 500 times a day back to that place of knowing, back to that place of stillness, then do that. Make sure that you're taking the time out to connect with the field of love, to connect with beauty, to connect with the ground ourselves, earth ourselves. This is the only moment that we have power. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. Nobody can predict it. It's the unknown. And it's kind of accepting that. It's accepting that we don't know. And just knowing that there's a storm and we need to stand in the middle of it, not on the outskirts of it, not on the circumference of the wheel going around and around, because we'll spin out. And to hold compassion for people. Everybody's doing the best they can. People have different decisions. They're at different places in their lives. They're doing the best they can. So it's not to divide any further. I hope that helps. We are in our inner space community. We're working with wisdom this month. There's still time to join if you want to. journeysofawakening.com. and you can just click on the Inner Space community and you can join us for the month, or you can join us for a year. I think these times call for community and community support, and that's what Inner Space is about. And we will be launching a new Journey to Freedom course on the 27th of January. That's open for bookings. You can book on our website. The link will be below. And yeah, join us. It's actually a 13-week journey. I believe that it'll help us to navigate the times that we have to come. It forms quite a strong community over those 12 weeks, over those 13 weeks, and you build a stronger root of intuition, of beingness, of presence. So join us 27th of January, and I will be open for bookings again in January. I'm taking a bit of a break over December, from the mid-December. So if you would like to see what's in line for the year for you in terms of the eclipse season and in terms of what this is bringing to birth for you, then you're welcome to contact me now and make an appointment for January. Lots of love. Stay centered, stay focused, and stay in love.